My last video that I made was my preview for Wrestlepalooza. And if you haven't checked out that video, go check it out, then come back here. But in that video, I talked about this being the first show on ESPN. And I immediately compared it to the Raw Netflix debut. Because with the Raw Netflix debut, it kind of felt like a PLE in its own right because the amount of surprises and the amount of stars that were part of that show. So the purpose of today's video is we're going to be taking a look into Wrestlepalooza and try to guess what kind of surprises we could get. Before we get too far ahead in the video, I want to say that if you are a WWE fan, consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. That is all we post is WWE related content. So if you're a WWE fan, again, consider subscribing. It's free. You can always change your mind later. Now, the first big thing that WWE can do to kind of create some shockwaves on ESPN would be to have a new champion crowned. And we know that we're going to be getting either a new or newer champion in the Women's World Championship match between Io Sky and Stephanie Valkyrie. Stephanie Valkyrie obviously being the new champion and Io being the newer champion, considering she just held the title. And I talked about how Stephanie Valkyrie winning would be a big moment. Considering how popular she is amongst the WWE Universe, people want to see Stephanie Valkyrie and they want to see her at the top of the mountain. So I think a win from Stephanie Valkyrie would be a very, very big moment for WWE. And if Io Sky wins, you also have a very, very popular superstar. And I think you can still create something interesting in the Rhea Ripley, Asuka, Kairi Sane story that Io Sky is in. But Stephanie Valkyrie would make the most sense because she hasn't been on TV, which kind of has me nervous, but with her not being on TV, it's a blank slate on who her opponent is going to be. And the only other championship match on the card as of right now is Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes. And I talked about in my preview video how I wanted to see Drew McIntyre win, mainly because the future for Cody Rhodes is kind of uncertain right now because we know that he's going to be off filming Street Fighter. And we really don't know how long that is going to be, but what we do know is that when Cody was holding that championship and he was not on TV, everything just felt off. Because if you are holding that title, you should be on TV on a regular basis. And I know Roman Reigns had his little stretch where he wasn't there either, but I will say I wasn't a big fan of when Roman was carrying the title and not on TV either. I want to see the top champion of WWE on TV, and if it can't be Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre would be an awesome pick. Now, while this would be a massive, massive moment for WWE on ESPN, it would be a big shifting moment for WWE in general as we continue to close out 2025. Having a new champion kind of this late in the calendar year is something that we haven't really seen a whole lot of as we head towards War Games. So I really, really want Drew McIntyre to win. I don't think he's going to win. I think it's going to be Cody Rhodes retaining. But I would love to see Drew win. I think it would make a lot of sense. And I think you could do a lot of interesting stories with him as champion. The next big thing that WWE can do is to have a big return at the end of the show. And I say the end of the show because the main event of Wrestlepalooza is John Cena and Brock Lesnar. And we're all kind of assuming that we are possibly going to get John Cena's next opponent announced. And while it wouldn't be a return, I would love it to be AJ Styles. But, obviously, AJ Styles is a little more busy with the El Grande Americano Dominic Mysterio situation that he's got going. So if you can rule out AJ Styles, that would most likely leave a big-time return. And there's a lot of names that you could possibly pick from. One being The Rock. And look, I'm not going to get my hopes up and say that The Rock is 100% coming back at the end of the show, but what I am going to say is that it would kind of be nice to kind of wrap a bow on the whole situation between The Rock and John Cena. And looking at the PLE schedule for WWE, before we have Survivor Series War Games, we have Crown Jewel. So we know that Cena is going to be a crown jewel, but we don't know who the opponent's going to be. Whether it is going to be Brock Lesnar, whether it is going to be a return, possibly The Rock, possibly someone like a Chris Jericho, who is heavily rumored to be returning to WWE. And I don't want to talk too much about Chris Jericho because I don't know what his contract situation is. We haven't gotten any word from AEW, we haven't gotten any word from Chris Jericho himself. But if WWE wanted to make a big splash on ESPN, which I'm sure ESPN wants to do, having either possibly Chris Jericho or The Rock come back to finish that show would be a pretty big moment. Obviously, we know when The Rock returned at Bad Blood, we know that that caused some serious shockwaves amongst the WWE universe and on social media entirely. Now, ultimately, I know that that really just kind of meant absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things, but they kind of have their opportunity to right that wrong and give us one more match between John Cena and The Rock. And if it is going to be Chris Jericho, that would cause some serious shockwaves, not just in WWE, but pretty much everywhere. So this is where I want to hear from you guys. What big moment could you see happening at Wrestlepalooza? Do you think it could be something like a title change, possibly Drew McIntyre winning the title? Do you think it's going to be a big return at the very end of the show? Possibly The Rock, Chris Jericho, someone else maybe. Or let me know if you think both is going to happen or none is going to happen. There's a lot of different ways you can look at this one, so I'm really curious to know what your guys' thoughts are. But as always, let me know that stuff down below in the comments, and while you're down there, swing by the description and click the Linktree link. That is the only link in bio for a reason, and that is because it will take you to all of the social media platforms for this channel, and I do suggest going and checking out our X page. Besides YouTube, I am most active over on X. We do updates for Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and the PLEs. Now, I will say that Wrestlepalooza falls the night before my birthday, so I may not be available to provide updates for Wrestlepalooza Saturday night. Obviously, you guys will know if you do see updates on X, or if you see a post from me on X saying that there are going to be no updates, you're going to know regardless. And we are also on TikTok. The TikTok page is still relatively new. We are doing some pretty decent numbers, but I want to see that growth continue. And since we're still early on in the whole TikTok era for this channel, the content over there right now is just going to be clips from these videos, and it's just another place for me to upload when I post a video onto YouTube. But eventually we are going to be doing some of the other WWE and wrestling related things that happens over on TikTok. So if you're scrolling on your phone one day and you come across one of my videos, drop a like, drop a follow, show it some love. I'm really trying to grow that page a lot. So with all that said and done, that is going to do it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Both are free and both really help out the channel a lot. And of course, if you have made it to this point of the video, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch these videos here. It really genuinely means the absolute world to me. And as always, stay tuned for more WWE content coming in the future. We'll see you next time.